Continuing on with section 3.2, we're looking at parallel lines and perpendicular lines. Two non-vertical lines with the same slope are parallel if they're going in the same direction. Two non-vertical parallel lines will have the same slope. Slopes of perpendicular lines, if neither is vertical, perpendicular lines have slopes that are negative reciprocals. That is, their product is -1. Also, lines with slopes that are negative reciprocals are perpendicular. The line with a slope 0 is perpendicular to the line with undefined slope. Remember, the horizontal lines have 0 slope and the vertical lines have undefined slope. Those lines are perpendicular. So in summary, parallel lines will have the same slope and perpendicular slopes are opposite reciprocals. In this example, we're looking at two lines that go through points. The first line goes through the points -2, 1 and 4, 5, and the other line goes through the points 3, 0 and 0, -2. We want to determine if the lines are parallel. We do that by finding the slope. With the slope formula and the first 2 points on the first line, we're going to find the slope using y2, 5 minus y sub 1 in the numerator, and x sub 2, 4, minus x sub 1, -2 in the denominator. When we simplify this, we get 4 over 6, and then that simplifies to 2/3. So in order for this other line to be parallel, the slopes must be equal. So let's find the slope of these 2 points, the line that goes through those 2 points. Our slope formula, again, is your y2 minus your y sub 1 over your x sub 2 minus your x sub 1. Now in this case we get -2 in the numerator over -3, and that simplifies to 2/3. Now since the slopes are the same, we see this has a slope of 2/3, this has a slope of 2/3, so we can say yes, the lines are parallel. All right, let's look at our next example. Are the lines with equations 2y equals 3x minus 6 and 2x plus 3y equals -6 perpendicular? In order for the equations, the lines to be perpendicular, their slopes need to be opposite reciprocals. We're going to find 2 points on the first line and 2 points on the second line and use a slope formula for both of those to determine if they are perpendicular. Let's go ahead and find the slope for each of those lines, and we can do that by finding the intercepts. For the first line here, let's find the x-intercept, and remember the x-intercept is where y is equal to 0. When we substitute 0 into this equation for y, we get the resulting equation is 0 equals 3x minus 6. When we add 6 to both sides, we get 6 equals 3x, and then divide by 3, we get x equals 2. So one of the points on this line is 2, 0. Let's find the y-intercept of the same line by finding when x is equal to 0. And we're going to substitute the 0 into that part of the equation to get 2y equals 0, 3 times 0 is 0, minus 6 is -6. Divide both sides by 2 to get y equals -3. So the other corresponding point for that line is 0, -3. Now let's look at finding the slope of that line using the slope formula. Our m is equal to our y2 minus your y1 over your x2 minus your x1. This simplifies to -3 over -3 over -2, or +3 over 2. That's the slope of the first line. Now let's find 2 points on the other line to determine if they are opposite reciprocal slopes. All right, now let's look at this line here. We're going to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept and find the slope between those 2 points. Again, to find the x-intercept, you're going to let the y equal 0, and you're going to plug the 0 in right there. The resulting equation is 2x plus 0 equals -6. So you get x equals -3. So that corresponds to the point of -3, 0. Let's find the y-intercept. The way you find the y-intercept is you let x equal 0, and we're putting 0 into this part of the equation. We get 2 times 0, 0, plus 3y. We get 3y equals -6. Divide both sides by 3 to get y equals -2. So the other point on the same line is 0, -2. We're going to use the slope formula for the second line. So m is equal to your y2 minus your y1 over your x2 minus your x1. Now here we get, in the numerator, -2, in the denominator we get +3. Notice that these are opposite reciprocal slopes, so the 2 lines are perpendicular. Okay, so the 2 lines are perpendicular if the slopes are opposite reciprocals. 3 over 2, the opposite reciprocal is -2/3. For example number 8, we want to decide whether each pair of lines is parallel, perpendicular, or neither. We have 2 lines. To get the slope of the line, we can find 2 points on each line. We have, for the first line, let's find the x-intercept. Again, the x-intercept is where y equals 0. And if you plug in the 0 here for y, you get 8x equals 4. So if 8x is equal to 4, we divide both sides by 8. We get x equals 1/2. So that's one of the points on the line, 1/2, 0. Let's find the y-intercept. The y-intercept is found by setting x equal to 0. By plugging in 0 for x here, we get the resulting equation is -2y equals 4. Dividing both sides by -2, we get y equals -2. So our other point here is 0, -2. We're going to use both of those to find the slope of the line. The slope of this line is your y2 minus your y1 divided by your x2 minus your x1, which is 1/2. So when we simplify this, we get -2 divided by -1/2. And remember that when you divide by a fraction, it's the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So this is -2 times the reciprocal of -1/2, or -2/1, and that slope is a +4. Let's go ahead and find the slope, 2 points on the other line, and find the slope. Okay, to find the x-intercept here, you're going to let the y equal 0. Take this y, replace it with 0, and your resulting equation is 5x equals -3. And dividing both sides by 5, we get x equals -3/5. So one point we have on this line is -3/5, 0. The next point we're going to find is the y-intercept. And to find the y-intercept, you're going to let x equal 0. we're plugging in 0 and we get 0 plus y, or just y equals -3. So that point is 0, comma, -3. Using those 2 points, we're going to find the slope of the line. M is equal to our y2 minus our y1 over x2 minus x sub 1, -3/5. When we simplify this, we get -3 divided by a +3/5. Again, when you're dividing by a fraction, it's the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So we have -3 multiplied by a +5/3. And when we simplify this, we get -5. So notice that the two slopes here, we have this slope of 4, this slope is -5. The slopes are not the same, so the lines are not parallel. Also notice that these are not opposite reciprocals. So our answer to this question is that it is neither. They're not parallel, it's not perpendicular. The two lines just have different slopes, and so we answer as neither.